The global financial system just hit a tripwire, and most people are completely blind to what's coming. For 80 years, the US dollar has been the undisputed king of the world, the exorbitant privilege that allowed America to run massive deficits while the rest of the world sent us their goods in exchange for green paper. But today, April 9th, 2026, that era officially entered its twilight. The BRICS Plus coalition has just finalized the technical framework for a gold-backed, blockchain-based settlement currency. This isn't just another failed alt-dollar project. This is a direct, functional challenge to the SWIFT system, and it is designed to do one thing: strip the US dollar of its status as the world's only reserve currency. If you have any money in a traditional bank account, or if you're holding Bitcoin as a hedge, you need to understand exactly how this transition is going to reprice every asset you own over the next 12 months. Let's look at what actually happened in the last 24 hours. At the latest summit, the expanded BRICS Plus leadership, now representing over 45% of the world's population and nearly 35% of global GDP, unveiled the unit. This is a decentralized multi-currency ledger that uses a basket of commodities, primarily gold, as its collateral. This isn't a retail CBDC for buying coffee. It is a wholesale settlement engine. For the first time since 1944, a group of the world's largest energy producers and manufacturing hubs has a way to trade oil, gas, and rare earth minerals without touching a single US dollar or using a single American bank. To understand why this is a black swan event, you have to look at the math. In 2000, the US dollar made up 72% of global foreign exchange reserves. Today, that number has slid to near 55%, and with the launch of the unit, analysts are projecting a drop to 40% by the end of 2027. Why does that matter to you? Because the US stays afloat by exporting its inflation. When central banks around the world stop needing dollars to buy oil, they send those dollars back to the United States. That's trillions of dollars of homeless currency returning to our shores, chasing a limited supply of goods and real estate. That is the definition of hyperinflationary pressure. But here is where it gets interesting for those of us in the crypto space. The BRICS Plus nations didn't just build a database, they built a blockchain-based infrastructure. They are acknowledging that the future of global value is digital, decentralized, and cryptographic. By launching a Bitcoin competitor for nation-states, they have effectively validated the core thesis of Bitcoin. They are telling the world that the trust me model of central banking is dead, and the verify me model of math-based ledgers is the only way forward. So, why does this matter for crypto investors right now? Historically, whenever the dollar's hegemony is challenged, hard assets move in lockstep. We saw this in the 1970s when the gold standard was severed, and we're seeing it again today. There is a massive liquidity gap forming. As the world loses trust in the U.S. Treasury, which is currently sitting on $35 trillion of debt, with interest payments exceeding $1 trillion annually, capital is looking for a neutral home. Gold is the traditional answer, but Bitcoin is the 21st century answer. Bitcoin is the only asset that is neutral to both the US and the BRICS. It cannot be weaponized by Washington through sanctions, and it cannot be manipulated by Beijing or Moscow through currency pegging. As the dollar loses its reserve status, Bitcoin isn't just a speculative tech play anymore. It becomes a global value reserve. Every time a nation-state announces it is moving away from the dollar, it's a massive green candle for the decentralized alternative. What does this look like in the real world for your portfolio? Think about the petrodollar. Since the 70s, oil has been priced in dollars. If Saudi Arabia and Russia begin accepting the BRICS unit, or even Bitcoin for energy, the demand for US dollars collapses. When demand collapses, the value of the dollar in your pocket buys less food, less fuel, and less crypto. This is why you're seeing Bitcoin holding steady even when the Fed remains hawkish. The market is starting to sniff out that higher for longer interest rates don't matter if the underlying currency is being rejected by half the planet. So, what are the smart investors doing right now? They aren't panicking, but they are repositioning. First, they are identifying the infrastructure plays. If the world is moving to a multi-currency, blockchain-based settlement system, the technologies that bridge these systems, specifically cross-chain oracles and high-throughput layer ones, become incredibly valuable. You should be looking at the assets that provide the plumbing for this new financial architecture. Second, they are accumulating apex assets. In a world of currency wars, you want to own the things that cannot be printed. Bitcoin, of course, is at the top of that list, but also physical commodities and the infrastructure that powers them. We are moving from a world of financial engineering back to a world of hard assets and energy. If you can own a piece of the network that the world uses to settle value without a middleman, you are sitting on a gold mine. Third, and perhaps most importantly, they are watching the liquidity spigot. The Fed is currently caught in a debt trap. If they keep interest rates high to fight the inflation caused by these returning dollars, they bankrupt the U.S. government. If they lower rates to save the government, they accelerate the destruction of the dollar. In either scenario, the end result is more monetary debasement. And in an era of debasement, the only winning move is to be short the dollar and long the hardest assets available. Let's be clear, the dollar isn't going to vanish tomorrow morning. It will take years for this to fully play out. But the unit marks the point of no return. We have moved from a unipolar financial world to a multipolar one. The competition for the world's reserve currency is officially on, and for the first time in history, the people, not just the kings, have a way to opt out. That way is through decentralization. If you're watching this, you're already ahead of 99% of the population because you're looking at the macro shifts while everyone else is looking at the daily noise. The biggest transfer of wealth in human history is happening right now as the global ledger shifts from the US Treasury to the blockchain. This isn't just about making money anymore. It's about preserving wealth in a system that is fundamentally changing its rules. I want to hear from you. Do you think the BRICS unit can actually replace the dollar? Or is this just another PR move that will fail under the weight of geopolitical bickering? And more importantly, how much of your portfolio is currently dollar neutral? Drop a comment below. I read every single one, and the discussion in this community is where the real alpha is found. If you found value in this breakdown of the April 9th headlines, do me a huge favor, hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that this kind of macro research is important. And if you want to stay updated on how the Fed, BRICS, and the crypto markets are colliding every single day, hit subscribe and turn on that notification bell. We are entering the most volatile and opportunistic bridge in financial history. You do not want to navigate this alone. I'll see you in the next one. Stay sovereign.